It's almost comical knowing exactly what news organizations, where, how, and when will respond when a story comes out that will, well, to be honest, trigger them. Steam's irresponsible hands-off policy is proof that Valve hasn't learned its lesson. Yep, we got the hat, tip, and we're going to need some shades for this one because there's a lot of shade being thrown around. And I'm going to take a quick sip. What is this, Polygon? No, it's not Polygon. It's Kotaku. And if you guys didn't know, recently Steam actually updated and said that they were going to stop policing content on Steam, which essentially translated to their statement of being, hey, there's a lot of games that come out on Steam. There's probably going to be some games that you're not going to like on Steam and don't think should exist. But then there's probably going to be some games that somebody else isn't going to like on Steam and think that shouldn't exist, but you do think they should exist. Therein lies a massive conflict and a problem with Steam's policies for policing and censoring. The only games that are going to be censored are the ones that are straight up trolling and the ones that break laws. This is the epicenter of what it means to be an artist. And to develop a video game is to be an artist. Whether you like it or not, video games are art and you're going to have to accept that fact. You don't have to enjoy video games. You can point to every single one you dislike and claim that it's not art, but they're still art. So at the end of the day, art is subjective. And when you have a very subjective thing, you're always going to have people arguing over whether or not it should be acceptable, whether or not it should be censored or policed. Old Nathan Grayson over on Kotaku has written this article, and it's basically a collage of other articles that have appeared. I do this gaming news show several times a week. I mean, I'm on here looking up news every day, so I know when images are recycled, I know when stories are recycled, and I know that this guy went through and took a lot of images, stories, and pieces to put together in this article that he was writing about, decrying and declaring how awful Steam is. So the article essentially goes down the list of how debauchery the Steam website can be, showing very sexual games that have gross content to them. You know, basically sex simulators. And at the end of the day, once again, it's not illegal to play a sex simulator, especially if you're 18 years or older. If it has an ESRB rating, then it's not really breaking the law, is it? So that would fall upon parents and not Steam once again. Then, going down a little bit further, we have the inevitable, hey, there's Nazis and racists on Steam with the Steam groups, which, by the way, Valve recently banned a lot of Steam groups. Yeah, so I'm not really sure where this person is going with, other than the fact that they're alluding to the point that Valve should have done it sooner. Yes, Valve should have done it sooner, but they're a massive corporation and a massive company. You know, you really expect these right-wing groups to go and knock on Steam's door and say, hey, Steam, by the way, you should probably ban us. It's the people's problem. It's the individuals. If a person doesn't report the group, then Steam likely won't know about the group until it is made aware of the group. So this is, again, a convoluted point that is just used to show, hey, look, Nazis are on Steam. Hey, look, racists are on Steam. And at the end of the day, it's not like Steam is saying, hey, it's okay to be racist and a Nazi over here. But then you have to make the point also, if you're going to have games where you're killing Nazis, would that not fall into that same category? And then the argument would devolve into, oh, no, because you're killing Nazis. Well, duh, you're killing Nazis. And when we have a portrayal of defeating something that you consider is bad, is when it's acceptable. Does anyone in the world like Nazis, really? No. A real Nazi who thinks an entire race should die, should not really be permitted to continue spreading hate and propaganda, which is why Steam shut down these right-winged organizations, groups, and things like that. So, what's the argument here? Okay, continuing on to the article once again, it moves on into things that are kind of risky, on the line, not necessarily just straight up sexual simulators or games that are extremely risky, but rather talking about how there are visual novels that are very cut close to the line of being sexual. Once again, this isn't necessarily legal. You can walk to your local drugstore and you probably find some of those risky books that your grandmother or mother reads in her spare time. Yeah, I know you might be thinking to yourself, wow, that's pretty gross, but again, just because it doesn't have the imagery attached to it doesn't mean it's not still a very risky sexual story being told. This would be that case. It's an interactive novel. Visual novels exist on Steam. Are they games? You call it what you want. It's an interactive visual novel. It falls under the premise of art. It falls under the premise of a video game. You just have to deal with it. Whether or not it is listed under a rating where children can access it, again, that is dependent on the rating system. And so as long as they're falling into the category which they need to fall into, they're not breaking the rules, and again, don't need policed or censored. So this point is kind of null and void once again. And then finally, this guy closes on something called AIDS Simulator. So let me get this straight. Your entire argument, this is supposed to be your end segment here. This is supposed to tie everything together with a big, nice bow, right? To clarify your point, to solidify it to the point where no one's going to be able to argue with you. And you close on a game called AIDS Simulator with a pathetic title card, pathetic font on it. It looks like it was put together in one day. It looks like a complete and total asset flip from the screenshot I'm seeing. Look at this. Look, who's going to buy this? Who's going to effing buy this other than a bunch of trolls, honestly? Okay, so you get my point here. It's very obvious you're cherry picking the absolute worst of the worst, the most terrible games that are available. There's going to be indie developers who are going to develop really, really crappy games, and you're just going to have to accept that. Again, vote with your wallet. The less sales those indie developers get, the less of a chance they're just going to make a game to straight up troll or be complete and total crappy people. Why would they? They're not making money and people aren't playing their game. But they're getting a reaction out of you because you're getting triggered off of games like this. To which, by the way, at the very end of the article, update 9/15/6/7/18. AIDS Simulator has been removed from Steam, presumably because it violated Valve's still nebulous rules around the straight-up trolling. Yeah! A game called AIDS Simulator is pretty much straight-up trolling! I mean, I can't even understand how people get into these positions to where they can be writers for massive websites like this and be so jaded and biased against freedom. Steam is saying you can put any game on our marketplace as long as you don't straight up troll people or violate the law. Your game has to work. If it's glitchy and it works, you can play it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't launch, there's a refund policy. If your game has sexual or explicit content in it that violates the law, there's a report button. There's Twitter, there's emails, there's customer service lines. These might not be the best avenues to get into contact with Steam, but they are there. And it astounds me that people still write articles fighting against choice and freedom because they want a curtailed experience. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's that article. It really... I wake up Saturday morning and I see trash like this. I have to take out the trash and then I come back to my computer just to find more trash. Well, I am an AMD user, so there's a joke for you PC users. AMD fanboys will probably hate me. Intel fanboys will probably be laughing. But I have a 9590 in my computer, so AMD fanboys now sympathize with what I'm saying. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it really does depend on you to fight against this stupidity. Allow freedom to reign. Make your own choices and your own decisions. I've been your host, Protomario, and I'm signing out. As always, good gaming, God bless, and I hope you guys have a great day.